What happens when two superpowers, each with their own set of beliefs and ideologies, collide on the world stage? This is the question at the heart of our exploration today. We're delving into the maelstrom that ensues when titans grapple, when two superpowers lock horns in a battle for dominance. The war between two superpowers is no ordinary conflict. It's a clash of ideologies, a contest of wills, a confrontation that's often inevitable when two powerful nations, each with its own distinct set of beliefs and ambitions, intersect on the global chessboard. It's a dance of power, fraught with political tension, economic competition, and territorial disputes. Politics is often the catalyst. Two nations, each wielding considerable power, each with its own vision for the future and its own interpretation of what's right and wrong. When these visions diverge, tension mounts, diplomacy gives way to posturing, negotiations turn into standoffs, and under the pressure of these political tectonics, conflict is birthed. Economic competition is another fuel to the fire. In a world where resources are finite and the drive for growth is insatiable, superpowers vie for control of markets, of resources, of the very engines that drive their economies. When economic rivalry intertwines with political tension, the stage is set for a showdown. And then there are territorial disputes. Land, after all, is power. It's a base for military operations, a source of resources, a symbol of national pride. Superpowers, with their expansive ambitions, often find themselves at odds over territory. These disputes, whether over a patch of desert, a stretch of water, or a piece of fertile land, can be the spark that ignites the powder keg. As we delve into the depths of this conflict, we must remember that at the heart of every war are the people who are most affected. The pawns in this grand game of power, the civilians who bear the brunt of these colossal confrontations. As we explore further, let's not forget the human cost, the true toll of a war between superpowers. Every war has its pivotal moments, turning points that shape the course of history. To understand the war between two superpowers, we need to delve into the key events that defined it. The initiation of the war was a culmination of simmering tensions and ideological differences. The flashpoint was an incident that sparked outrage on both sides, pushing the nations beyond the brink of diplomacy and into the theater of war. This marked the beginning of a conflict that would last for years, causing changes that reverberated around the globe. As the war progressed, numerous battles ensued, each with its own strategic significance. Some battles were won by sheer force, others by tactical brilliance. These victories and losses oscillated the balance of power, keeping the world on tenterhooks as they watched the fate of these two superpowers unfold. In one such battle, the tide was turned by the introduction of a revolutionary technology. This technological advancement became a game-changer, altering the dynamics of warfare. It was a testament to human ingenuity and the lengths to which nations would go to secure victory, but it was also a stark reminder of the destructive power that lay in human hands. Yet war isn't just about battles and technologies, it's also about the minds and hearts of people. Throughout the war, propaganda played a crucial role in shaping public opinion. Both sides used it as a weapon, crafting narratives to demonize the enemy and rally their own citizens. It was a war of words and images, fought in newspapers, on radio waves, and across the emerging landscape of television. Similarly, diplomacy held its own importance. Even in the midst of conflict, diplomatic channels remained open, albeit strained. Backdoor negotiations, peace talks, and international pressure were all parts of the strategic chess game that is warfare. These diplomatic efforts, while often overlooked, had their own role in influencing the course of the war. Analyzing these events, we see how they were not isolated incidents but interconnected pieces of a complex puzzle. The initiation set the stage, the battles shaped the narrative, technology tipped the scales, propaganda manipulated perceptions, and diplomacy tried to navigate the ship in stormy waters. Each event, in its own way, influenced the trajectory of the war, steering it towards its eventual conclusion. But the impact of these events extended beyond the battlefield. They influenced politics, society, and culture, transforming the world in subtle and profound ways. They changed how nations interact, how people perceive each other, and how we understand the concept of war itself. These events, etched in the annals of history, have shaped not only the outcome of the war but also the world as we know it. Wars are not just about strategic victories and territories gained, they are about lives lost and societies altered forever. Let's dive a little deeper into the human cost of the war between these two superpowers. Imagine a city, bustling, vibrant, full of life. Now picture that same city turned into a battlefield. The buildings, once symbols of progress and prosperity, reduced to rubble. The streets, once teeming with life, now eerily silent, save for the echoes of the war. This war has claimed countless lives, leaving behind a trail of destruction and despair. The casualties are not just those who have fallen on the battlefield. There are those who have lost their homes, their loved ones, their sense of security. The refugees, forced to abandon everything they knew and loved to seek safety in foreign lands. Their lives uprooted and turned upside down. The impact on civilian life is profound. The war has disrupted the rhythm of everyday life. Schools have been shut, businesses closed, healthcare facilities destroyed. The basic necessities of life, food, water, shelter, have become luxuries. The psychological trauma inflicted on the soldiers and civilians is immeasurable. The soldiers trained for combat are not immune to the horrors of war. They carry with them the weight of the lives they've taken, the comrades they've lost, the atrocities they've witnessed. The civilians too are haunted by the memories of the war. The sound of gunfire, the sight of destruction, the fear of the unknown. These are scars that time may never fully heal. The war has also brought about social and cultural changes. It has shaken the very foundations of societies, altered traditions, and changed the way people perceive the world. It has bred a generation of survivors, of fighters, of individuals who have seen the worst and yet continue to hope for the best. A war's legacy is not only seen in the borders of nations but also in the hearts of its people. The human cost of war is a stark reminder of this fact. As we continue to analyze the impacts of this war, let us not forget the lives that have been forever changed by it. When the smoke clears, what remains of a war between two superpowers? The aftermath of such a catastrophic conflict is multi-layered, often leaving behind a landscape marked by political change, territorial adjustments, and a shaken economy. The end of a war does not mean the end of its effects. Rather, it marks the beginning of a new era, one that is shaped by the lessons learned and experiences gained from the conflict. In the political sphere, the war may have tipped the balance of power, leading to the emergence of new leaders and perhaps the fall of old ones. The ideological differences that once ignited the war have now become the foundation for a new political order. This evolution may lead to the birth of new alliances, or even the dissolution of previous ones. Territorially, the war could have redrawn the world map. Lands once familiar may have been claimed, lost, or even obliterated. The people living in these regions, now displaced, must adapt to new realities, embracing new identities and navigating unfamiliar political landscapes. Economically, the cost of war is staggering. The infrastructure destroyed, the resources depleted, and the investments in wartime efforts have a lasting impact on a nation's economy. It's a wound that heals slowly and often leaves behind a scar in the form of debt, inflation, or economic depression. The legacy of a war between two superpowers is enduring. It's etched in the annals of history, shaping the world order for generations to come. The lessons learned from such a conflict are invaluable. They remind us of the cost of peace and the value of diplomacy. They underscore the importance of international cooperation in resolving disputes and preventing conflicts. But most importantly, they push us towards a future where wars are no longer the answer. A future where disputes are settled not on the battlefield but on the negotiation table. A future where the value of human life is upheld above all else. In understanding the past, we can strive to create a future where such conflicts are a thing of history. In the span of just a few years, a war between two superpowers can reshape the world in unimaginable ways. The inevitability of conflict, driven by power dynamics and political ideologies, sets the stage for a battle of epic proportions. The key events, each a domino setting off the next, tell a tale of strategies, victories, and losses. But beyond the battlefield, the human cost is perhaps the most poignant part of this narrative. The lives lost, the families torn apart, the societies forever changed. These are reminders of the true price of war. In the aftermath, we see a world irrevocably altered, bearing the legacy of the conflict in its political, social, and cultural fabric. Yet, as we delve into these historical events, we do so not to relive the horrors, but to glean wisdom from them, to study, to learn, to ensure that history does not repeat itself. The scars of war run deep, but from understanding comes the hope for a